Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you all. Welcome back to A Righteous Perspective in the Morning. I am your host, Wise, and I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning. It's amazing, man. We had over 100 people in here right off the rip listening to the theme song, man. That's such a blessing, man. I'm humbled by it. I appreciate you guys pulling up. I really, really appreciate you guys pulling up, man. Before we get the show started, you know I got to show love to everybody that has pulled up thus far. Let me know where you're tuning in from, city, state, country. This thing is going international, man, and it's just humbling. It's unbelievable, man. In some cases, it's almost unreal. That people are supporting what I'm doing over here, not just here in the United States, but in different countries around the world, man. It is awesome, man. It really is. It really is. And God bless each and every one of you all. We have a good show. We got a good amount to talk about. We're not going to have as long of show today as it was yesterday. I know it went 2.5 hours, but with the brothers from the Cycle of Judges podcast, they got the testifying and, just really discussing their faith walks and just talking about what they're doing on their channel. They do have one episode. If you have not gone over there and checked out the Cycle of Judges podcast, they're on episode 1. But if you hadn't checked it out yet, please go over there and do it. Give them a sub. Subscribe to the channel. Go check the video out. It is in the description box. Go check those brothers out. They will be guests on this show periodically on a week-to-week basis. I plan to have both Marcelo as well as Minister Denzel contributing to the show as much as they want to be on here, because I really, really enjoy their insight and what they bring to what I'm talking about over here, man. So just to get things kicked off, man, shout out to Scott Jung. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. As always, Murfreesboro, Tennessee in the building. Shout out to you, Redefined Queen. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What's going on, Zephyr K9? How you doing this morning, sister? God bless you. Appreciate you pulling up as always, keeping things civil in the chat. What's going on, Christy? How you doing this morning? I hope all is well out there in Chi-Town. I know you guys had some crazy wind and stuff like that going on yesterday, day before yesterday. So I hope everybody's safe and doing well out that way. I definitely appreciate you all, as always, pulling up and supporting the channel. What's going on, Leanne? How you doing this morning? JP, what's up, Sherry? How you doing this morning, sister? Alu, appreciate you pulling up from Japan. Appreciate you pulling up from Japan. We got my guy Ricardo Rios, I believe Japan as well. True Texan in the building. That is awesome, man. Kenny G in the building. What's going on with you? Mama Joe's, how you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. What's up, Chili Mac? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up as well. G Rome in the house from Texas. All right. Texas is strong in the house, man. Houston in the building. All right. New Jersey. What's going on, Darlene? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you all as always. All right. Let me see if I missed anybody. Vera Lynn, how you doing this morning, sister? We got Elizabeth English in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning as always. Appreciate you, Beth Ann. Thank you very much. Appreciate you pulling up. Oh, yeah. What's up, Nina? How you doing today, sister? NPO Creations in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Brooklyn in the house. All right. William McDonald, Queen City, Charlotte. What's up with you, brother? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Darlene Combs in the house. What's up, B? How you doing this morning, sister? I hope all is well with you. Appreciate you pulling up as always. Thank you very much. Gerard Caswell in the house. What's going on with you, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. My guy, Ryan Henderson, is in the building. What's up, Ryan Henderson? How you doing this morning, brother? It's been a little minute. I hadn't seen you in a bit in the chat, man, but I appreciate you pulling up this morning, man. Happy Friday to you. God bless you and your family. I hope all is well, down there in Georgia. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, man. Thank you. What's up, Keith? Pittsburgh in the building. Selah in the house. Appreciate you pulling up. Marlene Clark, thank you very much. Watching from Cape Town, South Africa. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sister. South Africa in the building. That's what's up. Gerard Caswell, thank you very much for getting things kicked off with the $5 super sticker. God bless you, brother. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much. We got Rich Roper in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Received the notification. That's what's up. Mama Joe's out of Cleveland. We got Arizona in the house. What's going on, Trish Dennis? How you doing this morning? We got Orlando in the building. What's up, Thomas? Lorraine Campos. What's up with you, sister? How you doing this morning? Sierra Vista, Arizona. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. We got PA. What's up, Allie? How you doing this morning? Albright, PA. We got another PA in the building. What's up, AK? How you doing? Woody, what's going on? Central California. That's what's up. Amarillo, Texas in the house. How you doing this morning, Crystal? Appreciate you pulling up. That's a good name. My wife's name is Crystal. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Navajo Nation, Arizona, ANP in the house. What's up? Corin Wilson, appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much. Tulsa, Oklahoma in the house. Springfield, Missouri in the house. Fairfax, VA. DMV is in the building. We got a lot of folks in the DMV that watch the channel, man. A lot of people in the DMV. Everybody think that everybody in the DMV is blue, and it is a lot of daggone liberals out here, but we are out here. There is a large amount of us out here, and I think it's starting to grow with the craziness that is happening. We got WTF for real in the building. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Red Beard in the house, Scottsboro, Alabama. Danny S in the building, Puget Sound. Oh, man, all the way on the West Coast. What's up? Riverton, Wyoming in the house. Covington, Georgia in the house. All right, Heather Martin. Appreciate you pulling up. Thank you very much. Kathy McGinnis, Southern California. What's up, Jimmy Gable? How you doing this morning, brother? Oklahoma, East Texas in the building. Tampa Bay in the building. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate you guys pulling up. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. Mary Fleming out of Alabama. We got Canada in the house. What's up, Mike? How you doing today, brother? Gerard Caswell, thank you very much, brother. Gifting one ARP family membership, man. Thank you very much for supporting the channel as always. I really, really appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you. We got Fresno, Cali in the building. What's up, Jay Taylor? How you doing this morning? Chicago, checking in. Are you a part of that Flip Chicago Red? I hope so. Because Lord knows y'all need it, man. The way that Brandon Johnson came out here, he came out to the DMV, he was a complete embarrassment for the city of Chicago. Goodness gracious. Wow. Zephyr, you're absolutely right. You cannot cut someone off when they're testifying. You just can't. You can't do it. And I enjoyed it. My wife was watching it and she enjoyed it. It was just like, you can't stop it. Once somebody is testifying and they're going, you got to let them go. You got to let them finish. I thought the show yesterday was amazing, man. Towards the end, anybody that watched it and stuck around, for the interview with the brothers from the Cycle of Judges podcast, anybody that stuck around to hear that interview and to hear about them and their faith walk and their testimonies and what they have going on their show and where they're planning to go with the show, anybody that stuck around, you would have been blessed yesterday by the testimonies and the conversation that we had with those brothers yesterday, man. It was awesome. I really, really appreciate it, man. And if you did not get a chance to check it out, go watch it. It's yesterday. It's still up. It was yesterday's live stream. It's still up. Go check it out, man. It's definitely worth listening to. And you can skip the first hour. Just get to the second hour, when I bring up the brothers from Cycle of Judges podcast, man. It was phenomenal. Phenomenal. What's going on with you, Vernice? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. California in the house. Duluth, Minnesota in the building. Amherst, Ohio. We got Bullseye from the UK in the building. Yes, Ron Henderson, Snellville, GA in the house. Absolutely. We got North Carolina in the building. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Appreciate you all, man, pulling up, man. As always, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody before we get the show kicked off for real. And Gerard Caswell, I agree with you 1,000%. Please go check out Cycle of Judges podcast. They only got the one episode up, but go check it out. It is worth watching and listening to. Those brothers are in tune with the word. They know what they're talking about, and it was phenomenal. I watched it twice. That's how much I enjoyed it. It was really, really good. Really good. Kathy out of New York, Navajo Nation in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Fulton, California. What's up, Dr. Silla? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up out of Michigan, Richmond, Virginia. Gina King, what's up with you? Appreciate you pulling up. Missouri. Let's see, who else? We got Dallas, Texas, New Jersey, Las Vegas. More from Texas, Louisville, Kentucky. What's up, Shannon? How you doing today? All right, Richmond, Virginia again, Tennessee, Arizona, Nashville, Richmond, Huntsville, Idaho, Oklahoma City. Look at that. Klamath Falls, Oregon, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Alabama. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you very much for pulling up this morning, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, Ron Henderson, I am consistently, it's a morning show now, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. This is where you can find us. Come hang out. Come hang out, man. I appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you. I'm going to open up the chat today. I'm actually going to open up the lines today. So anybody that wants to call in, towards the end of the show, just to discuss anything that we discussed, throughout the week, any topic that you would like to talk, you want to ask me questions, you want to talk about anything, you want to get something off your chest, I'd love to hear from you today. I will, as we get towards the end of the show, I will drop the link. I'll pin it up top. So anybody that wants to pull up, you don't have to have your camera on, but I do ask that you keep it PC. If you agree, great. If you don't agree, great. If you want to just say something about anything that has transpired this week, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to have a quick conversation with you. I appreciate you all. I do this on a week-to-week basis, and it's crazy because I can't hardly get anybody that wants to pull up. Every now and again, we've had a few people. I know Ron has pulled up in the past. We've had Eric Smith pulled up. There's been a few, but we will open it up today to allow people to call in. I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys here shortly towards the end of the show. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. What's going on, Alonzo Dunn? Appreciate you. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. In here, Augusta GA in the house. Appreciate you. We got Maeve. Is it Maeve? Is that how you pronounce that, or is it Maeve? Aloha. I would assume that this individual is out of Hawaii. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much, Dragon Master Zero, for gifting 5 ARP memberships. Thank you very much, brother. God bless you. Appreciate you supporting the channel, man. Thank you very much, man. Make sure y'all hit that like button for me. Make sure y'all share the stream. People need to see this, man. People need to be in tune with what's going on. With what we have going on over here. There's a lot going on. Obviously, we speak on things from a political perspective, but we also look at things, from a spiritual perspective as well. Man, I'm trying to have the two intertwine and keep it interwoven and just kind of look at things, from a biblical lens. That's how we try to look at things. I try to vote accordingly to what aligns with what I believe, and I look at it that way. And it's hard to support the Democrat Party if you're trying to align your life and you're trying to align the way you support the parties you support, the policies you support based on the word of God. It's very difficult to support those people. It really is. It really is. And more people are starting to wake up. More and more people are starting to have the scales removed from their eyes because of it. Because the more you kind of start to get your life, your decisions, in line, with the word, it's almost impossible to support anything that they have over there. It really is. It really is. We're going to get the show kicked off, man. As always, we got a couple super chats to read before we get going. Thank you, Christy, so much for the $49.99 super sticker. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for supporting the channel, man. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. Absolute. Hey, Chili Mac, I agree with you, man. DMV red, I would love to see it. I mean, you guys over there in Northern Virginia are about as bad as those, on the outside of DC, that PG County, Montgomery County. It's just about as bad. Shout out to Red Bucks for the $3.99 super sticker. Shout out to Sean Cross for the $5 super sticker. God bless you both. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. East Tennessee. Sean Cross, where you at in East Tennessee? I got people out in East Tennessee. I got a lot of people out in East Tennessee, Knoxville area. Appreciate you pulling up and thank you for the support, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right. Let's get the show kicked off, man. Let's get things going. All right. All right. Before we get started, as I always say, excuse me, super stickers will stop the show. Super chats will stop the show. Anybody that joins the ARP family, that will stop the show. You will be acknowledged. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. That's what gives us the ability to do what we do on a day-to-day basis to keep this thing going. Obviously, being independent, you're out here doing everything. And we're jack of all everything when you're out here doing this. So, the support, definitely appreciate it, man. But make sure y'all hit that like button, share the stream, and let's get after it.
Trying to put my son to bed. He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie gonna be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he did. Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is,
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
When you go to these college campuses, I love watching your TikTok, which is next level. And clearly, that's expressed by my 13-year-old son.
I want to meet this guy.
Yeah, I actually.
He's coming to a Turning Point event this summer, Tampa, Florida, Student Action Summit.
I actually am. By the way, if
you should be concerned.
But so let me say here is why I'm concerned, because you have expressed that I should be concerned as a Democrat, that we're getting clobbered.
Okay. Yes.
That you've figured something out.
It's not me. The president first deserves the credit.
But why? No, hold on. You were at this before Trump was Trump.
I know, but
he was a Democrat back in 2011 and 12.
The president deserves huge credit, and I just have to say that as an obligatory thing, because without him, our movement would be small. And you can appreciate that in politics. You have to appreciate the person who is the catalyst.
For you, that's what you sort of attached an identity with.
It was also just the catalyst. It was a cultural moment that just opened us up.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Leah Maxeo. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much for the $9.99 super sticker. Thank you very much, sister. God bless you. Thank you very much. Oh, man. We got to talk about it, man. I don't know how many of you guys could sit through a full Gavin Newsom interview. I don't know, but we got to talk about this interview. We got to talk about this interview, man. We got to talk about it. Gavin Newsom, this interview with Charlie Kirk, we got to talk about it today because there was, more than a few entertaining things, to watch. The Democrats, they're imploding. They're literally crumbling right before our eyes. But I don't know if it gets more entertaining than watching a Democrat accidentally tell the truth and then immediately regret it when, their own side loses their minds. And that's exactly what happened to California Governor Gavin Newsom. When he sat down with conservative firebrand Charlie Kirk on his new podcast, Gavin Newsom, arguably the most polished and ambitious Democrat in the country right now, arguably, just found himself in a political firestorm for making the mistake of telling the truth about one of the most unpopular positions, Democrats have taken in the last decade. And the backlash is, it's hilarious, but These libs are steaming hot over over this mistake. Gavin Newsom is, I mean, the fires really did him in out there, so I definitely don't think he had any real chance of winning the presidency, but he put his foot in the mouth. He put his foot in the mouth. He put foot in his own mouth in that daggone interview. I don't know what made him think that it would be okay to bring Charlie Kirk on an interview. I don't know what he's trying to do. I really don't. I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, but whatever it was, he failed yesterday. He failed. So if you guys are wondering, what sent these crazy people into a tailspin, was it a crime? No, it wasn't. It was this. During the interview, Newsom admitted that men competing in women's sports is an issue of fairness. He admitted it. Now, yesterday, for those of you guys that watched yesterday's show, we basically did the last half of the show talking about how unfair and how ridiculous these Democrats are when it comes to this particular topic. We also talked about those that go through gender affirming care, how they're more likely to commit harm, towards themselves. They suffer from depression. I mean, just the study is just off the charts with how bad it is for the people that are suffering from the mental illness that we know as gender dysphoria. We know that trying to affirm this, they've scared the bejesus out of parents in saying that, hey, if you don't allow them to go through this, you're risking their lives, only to find out that when you allow them to go through this, that's when you've put them in harm's way. I mean, it's crazy, man. And I cannot believe for the life of me that you have these Democrats fighting for this when 90% of Americans, 90+% of Americans are absolutely vehemently against this ridiculous policy or ideology, more or less. I guess some of it is policy because they have passed laws in certain states to allow men to compete against women. But it's a losing daggone idea. It is.
Right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, right. that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out say no.
No, and I appreciate
but would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed?
Yeah, so Newsom at least had the gall. At least he had he had it in him. At least he had it in him to admit that this is an issue of fairness. At least he went there. Now, as governor, somebody in the chat mentioned it, but as governor said, he has the ability to put a stop to all of this right now. He won't do it, but he has the ability to do it. But I am glad that he admitted it, that it's an issue of fairness, which is something that we've all been saying. And that's it. That's all it took. One sentence, one glimpse of showing some common sense. One admission of basic reality. And now his own party is attacking him with the level of vitriol usually reserved for Trump supporters. Usually. But he is on the hot seat right now. They are on his head.
I don't know who's seen that interview with Gavin Newsom and Charlie Kirk, but I have a couple things to say. One, that is a choice first guest for a Democrat, right? Or somebody who claims to be one. Also, really, Gavin Newsom, you're going to sell out trans people immediately? That's the first thing you're going to do? I know that you're thinking in your head about a presidential run. Here's the thing. I'm going to let you know right now, that's not going to work. You will never be president. You won't. You don't have the charisma. You don't have the moral conviction, clearly, because you're already caving to the right. You're already caving and you're not even president. You're not even running for president officially. And you're already ceding ground. That makes you completely useless. Okay? And two, that's assuming we even have an election, which if you keep ceding ground, we won't. Get it together.
Oh, how the tables have turned. Oh, how the tables have turned. What's going on, Reza Mahmood? How you doing this morning, brother? Appreciate you pulling up. Goodness gracious, man. They can't get out their own way. No different than Kamala Harris this past time around running on pregnancy termination. I would assume that this trans issue and this agenda affirming care issue for children, that's going to be a policy that these people are going to run on, and it is a losing idea. It's a losing initiative. It just is. It just is. And shout out to Ron Henderson for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. He says Newsom is the party over the people. He can't sell out the Democrats. He can't sell out the Dem party. You're right. But the thing is that somebody over there, if they want to compete, I don't think they have a chance at winning anything on a major scale. I just don't. But if they want to compete, they're going to have to kick this trans idea. It's got to go. You got women out there that are on the Democrat Party, that are a part of it, that play sports. And when they're getting balls spiked in their faces, when they're getting dunked on by dudes, oh yeah, they're going to have a problem with it. But that's the left for you right now. That is the left. They're not calling him they're not calling him a coward. Alphabet community organizations in California are publicly denouncing him. Progressive influencers, they're accusing him of betraying the movement. See, this trans issue, it is a movement for these people. It's a movement for them. And Democratic leaders they're pretending right now that they have no idea what he said because they're terrified of addressing the issue themselves. Because they know this issue, it's a loser. They know this. Now, the fact that earlier this week, there was a bill that went up to the Senate and every last Democratic senator voted against the bill to block men from competing, or biological men from competing in women's sports. Every last one of them voted against the bill. That in itself is going to hurt them. Because whatever Republican runs against them, they got so much ammo against them at this point. The Democrat Party is now, not only are they the anti-God party, they're also the anti-woman party today. That is the truth. You can't go in there. They went in there on Tuesday with all this pink on, talking about they're supporting women, but then every last one of these daggone Democrat senators voted against a bill that protects women in sports. They're hypocrites. They're hypocrites.
About California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments.
Timu Barack Obama, y'all.
California Governor Gavin Newsom's comments saying that Democrats were in the wrong for allowing transgender athletes to compete in female and girls sports. What is your response to that after Democrats had opposed the women and girls in sports?
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? Now, this dude right here, Hakeem Jeffries, he was one of those, 45 senators that voted against the bill that would block biological males from competing in women's sports. That was a terrible job at deflecting the question. He made 0 sense. Zero. No sense. Let's rewind that back just a bit.
Oppose the women and girls in sports.
I haven't seen his comments. What Democrats opposed was unleashing sexual predators on girls throughout the United States of America.
What is he talking about? I don't think he knows what he's talking about, to be honest with you. He glitched for a second. He glitched. And the thing is that it's really a situation to where they haven't been given the talking points to address this issue. That's what it is. They have not been given the talking points from their DNC overlords. They haven't been given the talking points on how to address this issue. They know that this is a loser. They know it. This issue alone is going to be the issue that is going to sink the Democrat Party. This one issue. Whoever's going to run for president for these people, they're going to have to be willing to push this nonsensical issue and make it one of the things that they say that they're going to implement. Every last one of them, they're going to be asked about it. Whoever's going to run for president on that side, honestly, anytime a reporter talks to him, you have to nail him down. You got to nail him down on this issue right here. You have to. Anybody that's running for senator, anybody that's running for representative, if you are a reporter in any shape, way, form, or fashion, and you get a chance to interview these people, this issue you got to nail them down on. You got to have answers. And shout out to Belinda H for the $1.99 super chat. She says, ex-Democrat, proud Trump voter. Shout out to you, sister. And thank you very much for supporting the channel. The talking points, it has not gone out on how to answer that question because they know that this is a losing issue. They know it. They know it. Democrat leadership, they need a script. They need a script. And anyway, let's be clear. This is the most insane overreaction you'll ever see. Newsom didn't even say that he would change any policies. He didn't announce a ban. He didn't sign an executive order. All he did was admit that fairness matters. That's it. And today's extremely radicalized Democratic Party, in today's extremely radicalized Democrat Party, that in itself is completely unacceptable. You can't even admit common sense in the Democrat Party today. You can't. And thank you very much, Marie Anna, for joining the ARP family. Thank you very much. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Thank you very much, sister. You can't. You cannot agree with common sense. You're at a point now that if you want to run for anything in the Democrat Party, you cannot get on board with what 90% of the population believes. And it really and truly is probably more along the lines of 95%, 97%. You got a lot of people that are just flat out afraid to tell you the truth because they fear being canceled. And if you want to understand why this moment is so revealing, you have to understand the bigger picture. For years, Democrats have been moving further and further left on cultural issues, convinced that identity politics and radical activism is the key to long-term power, and they're losing that. They're learning that is not the case. But here's what actually happened. They've lost working class voters who think that they've gone completely insane. They've lost parents who see their kids being indoctrinated in schools. They've lost moderates who just want common sense policies, and they've lost lifelong Democrats who feel abandoned by the party. And instead of adjusting and instead of listening, they've doubled down on crazy. They've doubled down on crazy, trapping themselves in ideological prisons even their own politicians can't escape from. And Newsom just learned the hard way. He spent his entire career being the golden boy for the left, checking every single progressive box, pushing radical C-19 lockdowns while partying at a French Laundry. He oversaw mass homelessness, mass drug addictions and drug addicts, a crime wave like no other in California, while calling it a model for the country. And he signed extreme gender policies into law, including bills that basically strip parental rights over gender ideology. And yet, the moment he slightly deviated from the far left script, they turned on him instantly. And that in itself shows you how fragile and broken the Democrat Party is. That shows you how fragile and broken the Democrat Party is right now. And to be honest with you, it should be fragile. It should be broken. Because the party is not on they're not on a sound foundation. Their foundation is on sand. It's a weak foundation that they're sitting on or standing on right now. It's crazy. Now let's break down what actually happened in the interview. Newsom sat down with Charlie Kirk for what was supposed to be a civil conversation between two people with wildly different views. Kirk, to his credit, he didn't let Newsom off the hook at all. He asked him point blank whether he, would stand against biological men competing in women's sports. And after some awkward stalling, Newsom said, it's an issue of fairness. And, I completely agree on that. And then I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch it, but I don't know if you guys know what he did next, because this, it's a classic political damage control move. He went on to talk about, trans, unaliving rates and, and then he tried to make it about compassion instead of fairness, so forth and so on. But in yesterday's video or yesterday's show, we talked about those rates of these people harming themselves. We talked about it. And the study is actually against what a lot of these Democrats are pushing. The study actually goes against it. And then finally, he also tried to imply that conservatives were just weaponizing the issue. And this is what weak politicians do. Instead of standing firm and saying, yes, this is unfair, this isn't right, this is something that we need to fix, he didn't do that. He tried to have it both ways. And you can't, not on this issue. You can't straddle the fence with this issue. You just can't. And it didn't stop there. It didn't stop the backlash. It just didn't. But again, you guys got to understand that you have to get on board with everything that the Democrat Party wants. Every loony, radical, crazy, insane policy, issue that they want to push, you got to get on board with it 1000%. You cannot, you cannot veer off the path on your own. You cannot. They will not allow it. The outrage over Newsom's comments, it isn't just about the one interview. It's about a deep growing divide within the Democrat Party between the woke activist base that demands total ideological purity and the Democratic establishment that knows that they're losing voters over these issues. They know it. They know that these issues, it's a losing battle. They know it. And speaking of losing, check out what Newsom says when Kirk brings up the media war. Check out what he says here.
We're losing. We have I feel it's asymmetry of Donald Trump and Elon Musk sending out tweets, or you doing social media, and then me doing a 3-minute hit at 3:00 in the afternoon on CNN. How the hell do we compete? We're toast.
Well, I mean, part of it, and credit to you for doing long form podcasting, because long form podcasting does penetrate different audiences, right? And our show does very well. But part of the problem of the Democrat Party that for the health of the country would be great to change is that Democrats cannot survive in long form podcasting environments.
Why?
It's too unscripted. It's too masculine, honestly. And the Democrat Party's become
What is it?
too
What is
feminine.
masculine about a podcast? Honestly, because I get the whole manosphere that's pro
to
podcast
go
stuff.
into the wilderness with no rules and duel it out and see who's better or who's stronger. No, seriously. I mean, like what?
Democrats can't.
What? No, I mean, like
We don't do it.
No, but
You're right. We, for whatever reason, don't do it.
You can laugh, but like, who in the Democrat Party?
We're not. You're right.
Will go. I mean, maybe Bernie Sanders, but he only went for like an hour and a
RFK when
half.
he was a Democrat.
Well, Bobby, who's now HHS.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
there's something to be said that if you want to earn the respect of forgotten America, you have to show them that you can intellectually joust with no script, no hard breaks, no producers in the ears,
Love that.
no teleprompters.
Love it.
That's where new media is going. Now, I'll only challenge one thing you say. I am reaching new audiences. I'm not talking to my bubble because our content is so appealing. It goes in a decentralized way.
And it's not just political.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not political.
cultural.
But like, again, our conversation here is going to go far and wide, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to see it. A lot of people are going to consume it because it's also politics and entertainment have begun to overlap, right? And the old adage is, well, politics is downstream from culture. I think politics and culture are indecipherable from one another now. Donald Trump became a cultural phenomenon, right? You go into, inner city Compton, you'll see guys with Trump shirts with, the hand up, fight, fight, fight. Yep. So what Democrats are doing is you're still playing in a very old, hyper-sanitized media environment. Right. And my advice is you got to go where it's unpredictable, where it's treacherous, where it's dangerous. Now, I would make a more provocative argument that you wouldn't necessarily resonate with, which is that you guys have not built the intellectual muscle over 30 years because you all agree with each other all the time.
Well, not conservatives are massively disagreeing.
Well, hold on.
Trump has completely collapsed the conservative movement.
I would push back a little bit. I would disagree. We have a robust discussion.
Well, it seems like Congress is really doing great oversight of Trump right now. They're holding him to account.
That's an important but separate issue. I just want to finish the point, and we could talk about Congress, which is that in the Republican Party, we have immense and vocal and public spats all the time. I think you would agree. We fight about foreign policy. Look at Ukraine, right? We're talking about primary challenging some of these senators that were meeting Zelensky last week. The Democrat Party would never do that. Now, I think that is a symptom of an underlying thing. We're constantly trying to find the approximation of what truth is. We're trying to use dialogue towards, hey, who's right? What do you believe? Why do you believe it? And it's by no coincidence that out of the long form podcasting genres, the top 10, 8 of them are conservative or center right. Rogan, Megyn Kelly, Theo Vaughn, the Paul brothers,
Shapiro.
our program, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh. There's a singular one on the left, which is Pod Save America, which is just like a bunch of Obama bros agreeing with each other for 90 minutes and saying that we're not very smart. And, and so anyway, but I
appreciate it. No, but it's objective truth, right? I mean, you just dominate this media. I mean, it's medium. But it's interesting. You're making a deeper argument that we're not, and you didn't say it in a maligning way, but that we're just not capable because we're not hardwired.
Well, I think it's
to
two
be
things.
able to participate in
Well,
this.
I think that it's two things. Number one, your upbringing in college campuses does not foster debate like it used to. It just doesn't. It's that it's about silencing the critic and the elevation of the victim. So you do not have the practice of robust having to defend your position. It's very monolithic. It's very centralized. It's very top down. It's quasi-authoritarian. And then secondly, I would just say that the philosophy on the worldview, as I mentioned earlier, that you guys have adopted is that thou which is oppressed will get the most points. You guys don't have thou that has the best idea wins. And because of that, you guys have an elevation of like, hey, we're just going to have a small subset of a minoritarian hectoring hall monitor assistant principal vibe of people telling you that you're not allowed to say these words and you can't say that. And we call that political correctness, which in and of itself is hyper-authoritarian. So if you seek to understand why young men are rebelling, it's like, no, I'm not going to go along with this anymore.
So Charlie basically forces Newsom to admit that Democrats are losing the media war because They have a fear of unscripted, long form podcasts. See, the thing is that if you guys have ever had a conversation with someone that would consider themselves a Democrat or a liberal, what happens in that conversation, they normally don't know how to defend their positions. So what they do is they get angry, they start yelling, and the conversation is pretty much over. You cannot have a civil debate with these people because they know that their policies are crazy. They're not good. They haven't been good for the nation. They're not good for the city that they live in or the county that they live in. And they know that, a lot of the more radical policies, you just can't defend. So instead of that, what they do is they yell, they'll scream, they'll tell you, well, what has Trump done? Or what has the other side done? Opposed to defending their own policies. And they don't want to hear you discuss data. They don't want to talk statistics. They don't want to talk facts. Even if you bring information from, different various places, within the government, the census or the CDC or any of these things, they'll say, well, how do you know that they're correct? But I'm like, if we can't base it off of something that the government gives us as what's considered a fact, when we start talking about the Census Bureau, we talk about CDC, so forth and so on, how can you base your argument? What are you basing your argument off of? And the thing about Democrats, a lot of their arguments are based on feelings. It's not based on facts. It's based on how they feel. Shout out to Ron Henderson for the $4.99 super chat. He says, Democrat Party obeys their father. Did I miss something? Yeah, the Democrat Party obeys their father. They just lie. They can't handle the truth. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the thing is, they're not even interested in the truth. That's the problem. It's not that they can't handle it. They're not even interested in it. They're not interested in the truth at all. It's all about what they feel. And when you start trying to cater policies to feelings, opposed to, looking at what actually works and what makes sense for the betterment of the nation or the city, the town, the county that you're in. I mean, that in itself it's a losing solution. It just is. So Charlie Kirk's absolutely right. These Democrats, they don't want to go on long-formed podcasts where they don't have anybody that can save them. They're not interested in doing it because they can't actually stand on their policies. They can't stand on the things that they believe because the foundation is faulty. It's a weak foundation. I mean, come on, man. I mean, you could see the annoyance on Newsom's face, despite him trying to appear moderate, but you could see it. You could see it because, and the thing is, he couldn't refute anything that Charlie Kirk said. He couldn't refute it. I mean, this whole rebrand, thing from Newsom, I don't think it's going to work. Especially if he keeps bringing people like Charlie Kirk on. It's not going to work. Now, he's definitely thinking of running in 2028. That, don't let him fool you. He's going to be out there trying to run for president in 2028. He's still the same. And knowing how Democrats operate, maybe they'll forget about all of this by 2028. But honestly, I'm not sure. And the problems for Democrats is that, it's probably only going to get worse. Because as more voters reject their radical policies, they'll have one or two choices. One is to moderate and risk getting canceled by your own activists, or two, stay extreme and lose elections by landslides. Which is why right now the Democrat Party is on a path to self-destruction. Newsom tried to walk the tightrope, but instead he just set off a political earthquake. And for conservatives, that's a good thing. It's good news. But for the life of me, I don't know why he would have someone like Charlie Kirk on the platform. don't know why, because it didn't help him. If anything, it hurt him. Man. But we'll see. But, since we're on the topic, of, all the good things that's going on, we got to talk about this. I did a video, on this, but there's a couple of things that I want to add, to some of the videos that I put out yesterday and the day before yesterday, on the congressional address from Trump the other day. Trump now, President Trump, that is calling on Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace to be fired over their disgraceful comments about the 13-year-old cancer survivor, DJ Daniel, who Trump honored in his address, in Congress earlier this week. Let's take a look at what President Trump had to say about this.
CNN is MSDNC, which is the worst. And the good news is very few people watch them anymore.
Hey, who told President Trump that we call it MSDNC? Who is he watching that he gets MSDNC? Who is he watching?
Worse than CNN is MSDNC, which is the worst. And the good news is very few people watch them anymore. They have lost such credibility. And frankly, what Nicole Wallace said, I've never been a fan of hers, and she's not very talented. But I'll tell you, what she said the other day about that young man is disgraceful. She should be forced to resign. And Rachel Maddow should be forced to resign. Nobody watches her anyway. I don't know if it's not possible they pay her as much money as I hear, but certainly she's lost all credibility, both of them. But what they said the other day, they should be forced to resign about that young person who is suffering greatly.
Hey, I don't know who President Trump is watching, but for him to come out here in the Oval Office and call them MSDNC, phenomenal. That right there in itself shows you that what we're doing over here, it's working. Independent media is important in this country. It's always been important in this country. Dating back, to, the 1800s, independent media is important in this country. Seriously, it is. I'm surprised, man. I am surprised. When I heard this, I was surprised that he gets out there and calls them MSDNC. Hilarious. So let's talk about Nicole Wallace. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the clip, but if you hadn't seen the clip, we're definitely going to share it with you today. Nicole Wallace, man, she's one of the most shameless hacks in all of corporate media, man. Shameless hacks in all of corporate media who managed to, just take a beautiful, heartwarming moment and twist it into something so grotesque, so hateful, so politically deranged. I mean, honestly, I don't know how do these people live with themselves? I don't understand how these people live with themselves, man. But, check out this moment. Check out this daggone take from Nicole Wallace, man. This is just disgusting, man.
It's a lesson and thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
These people are sick, man. They really are. In Trump's congressional address, he honored young DJ, 13-year-old boy, a fighter, someone, who beat the odds. And DJ is a character. DJ is a character in itself, man. He is one funny little kid. He really is. For everything that he's going through, this kid is a comedian. Young DJ, man, in 2018, he was diagnosed with brain cancer. Doctors gave him about 5 months to live, but he refused to give up. He fought and he survived. And through it all, he never stopped loving America. His dream has always been to become a police officer. And in recognition of his courage, his patriotism, President Trump gave him the greatest honor possible, officially making him an honorary agent of the United States Secret Service. And Democrats didn't even stand. They didn't even stand and cheer for the kid. They couldn't even do this, man. I mean, they're so pathetic. This was a moment of unity. I get it. You don't like the president. I get it. Maybe you don't care for his policies. I get it. But for them to not stand up for Americans is just flat out pathetic. Nicole Wallace's comments, I mean, I don't know if you want to say shocking, because I guess this is what you should expect from these people over there at MSDNC. But I mean, this was a moment that any decent human being could appreciate. Any decent human being could appreciate the moment. But I guess decent isn't what or how you would describe a Nicole Wallace or or a Rachel Maddow. I don't think you describe them that way. Most normal people, would look at a young cancer survivor getting honored and say, that is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's inspiring. But for the left-wing media and for, the left, for liberals, even moments like this must be corrupted with hate. I mean, Nicole Wallace starts off by, trying to act like she's moved, by this moment, so forth and so on. And then her Trump derangement syndrome rears its ugly head. She just can't help herself. And instead of appreciating the moment, she goes completely off the rails, turning it into some deranged conspiratorial rant, about J6, Trump supporters and political violence, man. I mean, this woman just took a cancer survivor's biggest life moment and turned it into an anti-Trump conspiracy rant about J6. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable to hear this. The first time I heard it, and honestly, every time I hear it, it makes me cringe. Seriously. And it kind of makes me want to do something a little more, a little worse than that. But I don't act like that anymore. But this is peak left-wing, just radical, insanity. And even Rachel Maddow, who obviously is as radical as they come, she tried to change the subject, but of course, not before, she had to say, this foolishness.
And this is disgusting. The president made a spectacle out of praising a young man who's thus far survived pediatric cancer, as if the president had something to do with that. This was in the midst of him praising Doge. The Doge cuts, among other things, have cut off funding for ongoing research into pediatric cancer.
Yeah, just disgusting, man. They are. These are some hateful individuals. Hateful individuals. It's very, very disturbing and disgusting how they describe Trump celebrating a young cancer survivor. Just despicable, man. And what I think is actually disgusting is what Democrats did in that room during that moment. The fact that they just sat there, stone-faced, refusing to apply. I mean, it's just awful, man. They couldn't even stand to honor a child. They couldn't stand to honor a child. But be honest with you, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised because they don't care about the children. I mean, this is the party advocating for mass pregnancy terminations. I mean, they refuse to show even an ounce of humanity. I mean, these people are so bitter, so consumed with their own hatred that they couldn't even fake a smile for a young person. They couldn't even fake it. I mean, these people sat there holding up these little stupid little protest signs and, fuming in their seats and acting like petulant children. And think about that for a second, man. A young boy who beats cancer, who loves America, who wants to protect his country, is being recognized by the president of the United States, and Democrats can't even bring themselves to clap. I mean, this entire debacle, I mean, it exposed three major things about today's Democrat Party. They've lost all sense of basic human decency. They are trapped in a cycle of incurable Trump derangement syndrome, and they are so extreme that they can't even acknowledge basic American values anymore. Even John Fetterman, who, you know, sometimes he says the right things only to bow his head and still vote exactly in line with the Democrat Party overlords. But even Senator Fetterman, even he saw how the Democrats conducted themselves. And you guys got to take a look at this, man. This is what he had to say.
Have been very critical of Democrats today, saying they did not stand up enough for Trump's speech during certain moments.
I mean, I don't know why we can't fully celebrate. I mean, I have a 13-year-old myself. And I mean, thank God she's never had cancer, but I think that's something we could all celebrate that. And I think it was a touching moment. And like I said, that's part of the best of the American experience.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It really is. You know, check out his tweet. Let me pull this up. This was the tweet where he says, you know, a sad, cavalcade of self-owns and unhinged petulance. He wrote in a tweet, it only makes Trump look more presidential and restrained. We are becoming the metaphorical car alarms that nobody pays attention to, and it may not be the winning message. He's spot on. But my next question, is that he also decided to join them. And maybe it's a situation that maybe he only pretends not to buy in to the Democrat insanity so it doesn't cost him political points. I mean, he voted against Trump's nominees. He voted for men to compete in women's sports. Again, I said 45 senators in the Senate voted against the bill to block men, biological males, competing in women's sports. So let's not place him up on some moral high ground. He's not on the high horse here. He's as much a part of the problem, as the bingo card clowns. But at least he did have the decency to call it out. At least he had that much going for him. At least he did. I mean, it's a good start. But like I said, he voted for men to continue playing in women's sports. He sided with these people. Shout out to Jeff from It's Not Your Fault for the $11 super chat. Thank you very much, brother. You would need to fight and deny fiber. Hold up. You would need to fight and deny every fiber of your human decency that we all have ingrained in us from God not to applaud the situation. God is watching. And you're absolutely right. And thank you very much for the $11 super chat. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. And you're absolutely right. How do you sit there? And shout out to Ron with the $4.99 super chat. He says, no one in the Democrat Party can go against the Democrat Party. It's absolutely not allowed. You're absolutely right. You have to get on board with everything that these people agree with. Every issue, every policy, you cannot dissent nor defect from any of these ideas, this radical ideology. You cannot. You cannot. And in reference to Fetterman, I guess he's okay with not protecting his daughters. I guess he's okay with not protecting the women that he reports to, that he's there to represent. You know, and these people are in a free fall right now. They're in a free fall right now. The polls are in Trump's favor. The public is rejecting the media, the legacy media, that is, and they're rejecting the Democrat lies. And shout out to Renee Bessler. Thank you very much for joining the ARP family. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Americans are rejecting legacy media. They're rejecting the Democrat lies. And the thing is that when that lady came out the other day and said, hey, we are going to continue to tell lies to his truth, I know that was a Freudian slip. I know she did not mean to say that. But that was an angel right there. That was a spirit working through her saying, we're going to force you to tell these people that's what y'all are doing. Y'all are lying to the people. We're going to force you to do it. And shout out to Kim Jordan. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Thank you for the $5 super sticker. God bless you. Thank you very much. That was a Freudian slip. That lady got out there and said, we are going to continue to speak lies to his truths. I know she didn't mean to say it, but sometimes the Holy Spirit will make you say something that you don't want to say to warn the people. You'd be surprised, man, how God works, man. You would be surprised how God works, man. I'm sure she didn't mean to say that, but it was forced out of her. The left is melting down right now. The left is melting down right now, right before our eyes. We are literally watching these people lose it right before our eyes. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, I mean, she hit the nail on the head. She hit the nail on the head. She did. It was phenomenal.
And on a volleyball court. Democrats didn't stand for an innocent and beautiful child who is surviving brain cancer. They opposed eliminating taxes on tips and Social Security. They didn't stand in favor of cutting taxes for hardworking Americans. They couldn't even clap for two mothers whose daughters were killed by illegal aliens. One of the only things that could get Democrats off their feet last night was cheering for Ukraine, not for America. Last night was a very clarifying moment for our country. The Democrats exposed themselves as the party of insanity and hate, the party that wants to put America last. They've allowed their Trump derangement syndrome to stop them from celebrating America and our people, and we will not allow them to forget that. And it's not just the Democrat Party. The mainstream media still doesn't get it. Last night, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace disgustingly looped in a 13-year-old boy with brain cancer into an attack on the president over January 6th. And CNN's first chyron out of the speech called it divisive. President Trump wasn't divisive. The Democrats were. And CNN was proven wrong by their own viewers, 69% of whom, in a post-speech poll, said they had a positive reaction to the president's speech. It's sad and frankly pathetic that Democrats and liberals in the legacy media continue to allow their hatred for the president to override their love for our country. But nevertheless, the president will continue to unify this nation through policies that are grounded in common sense and that uplift all Americans. We have an individual in our new media seat.
Shout out to Freedmen's Network. Thank you very much. My dude, is it wise for blacks to walk off the Democratic plantation to run across the road to the Republican plantation? I would say this. First off, I don't think anybody should run anywhere. And I think that you should look at policies over party. That's something that I've been promoting, on this platform for a very long time. I also think that people should also look at the policies that more in line with what they believe in and look at it that way. I personally am a registered Republican in the state of Maryland. I am and have been for quite some time. But I'm also one of those people that also think that look at the policies over the party. I've been saying that for quite some time. And I think that when you look at the Democrats and their policies and you look at the cities that they run, those have not been good places for anybody, especially Black people, but for anybody. They have not been good cities. They have not been good states. And I'll just talk about my state here for a second here in Maryland. It's more of a purple state when you think about it from a governorship. But when you look at the state senators and the delegates, it leans more blue than it does red. But when you look at Baltimore City, it's definitely blue and has been for quite some time. And you look at the fact that the state has ran just about every major business out the daggone state, trying to tax them into oblivion. We're at a point right now where we only have one Fortune 500 company in the state right now, and it's about to leave because they're trying to tax it into oblivion. And it's a major employer out here, but they're getting to a point to where we just heard about this week that they're going to pack up and leave. And you got to think that here in Maryland, majority of the people work for the federal government, either directly or indirectly. So with them cutting jobs from the federal government, now they're saying they're doing job fairs and things of that nature for, state work and the different county work, so forth and so on. They're doing that. But we don't have the businesses. Amazon tried to move here and they rejected Amazon, which would have brought 25,000 new jobs, plus all the, smaller business that do business with Amazon, which probably potentially could have been another 25, 30, 40,000 jobs. But they rejected it because they didn't want to give the tax breaks. So I'll say this, when it comes to, people running from one party to the next, and something that I've been saying for quite some time. I don't know what your belief system is, but whatever it is, look at that and then look at the policies and look at the candidates and the party that more in lines with what you believe in. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is perfect. People are inherently evil. We know that. People are inherently evil. We know that. So you can't put your trust in man. You can't do that. I put my faith in God. My faith is in the Lord alone. But I'm also looking at these evil, wicked people. When here in Maryland, when we talked about this, I think it was last week, when you got state legislators here in the state of Maryland, Democrat state legislators that want to put condoms in preschools, I got a problem with that. And I cannot support a party that wants to implement that type of foolishness. They want to put condoms from pre-K 3 up in the schools. It's ridiculous. So no, I don't think that people should support the Democrat Party because their policies are radical as all get out. On the flip side of that, if you don't want to be a Republican, I'm okay with that as well. Go be an independent and then look at the policies of each side and vote accordingly. But as Bishop Patrick L. Wooden said, a group of people should not be wholeheartedly voting for a party because you think that's what you're supposed to do. That is stupid. It's not smart to do so. Because what you've told the Democrats is we don't have to do anything for you because we got your vote locked up. And what you've told the Republican Party is we don't have to do anything for you because y'all not going to support us anyway. So now you find yourself in political purgatory, not being supported by anybody. So miss me with the, should we leave one to go to the other? And first off, I don't think the Republican Party would be considered a plantation, to be honest with you. We know who the party of slavery is. We also know who the party of the KKK is. We know who the party of redlining. We know who they were. And they haven't changed much. I'm sorry to get off on my rant, but I definitely felt like I needed to answer that question. But shout out to Ron Henderson for the $4.99 super chat. Appreciate you. He says, Caroline Leavitt is a boss press secretary. Love it. We take a biblical worldview, and that's what I believe in. Our God is great, and I absolutely agree with you. Now, I get it. You know, you got a bunch of people out there that their foundation in life isn't based on biblical principles. And at that point, I don't know how you, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know how you gauge, your life. I don't know what you base your morality on. I really don't know. But for me, the way I look at things based through a biblical lens, and then me and my household, wife included, we vote on a party that's policies is more inclined. The reality of it is that once you get on this side, on the independent side, or you get on the Republican side, when you see something that you don't like, you can say something about it. When there's a policy that gets passed or that's been tossed out there that you don't like, over here, we can have civil discourse. We can have discussions, unlike on the Democrat side, where you got to be involved and get lockstep with every crazy idea that they have. There's no allowance for civil discourse. There's no debate there. It's just this is the party's line, and you got to go. You can't cross it. To where on this side of things, whether you're independent or if you decide to be a Republican, we have a lot of civil discourse. Charlie Kirk talked about it. There is disagreements all the time in this conservative movement. There's disagreements. And to be honest with you, I also look at the old guard Republican and the MAGA movement. I look at those as two totally separate movements. I think this MAGA movement is something different than the old guard Republican Party. I think this MAGA movement is something different. That's just my opinion, on that. But thank you, Ron Henderson, for the super chat. And appreciate you, Freedmen's Network. I appreciate you, bringing the question up. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for supporting the channel and, offering the question. I appreciate that. Shout out to, all right, there we go. Shout out to Shannon Hawkins for the $1.99 super chat. And shout out to Freedmen's Network for the $1.99 super chat. And I appreciate that. He says, yeah, I'm independent. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I want people to be free. That's why even here, in the chat, we don't censor people that disagree. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with censorship. I want people to be free thinkers. I want people to be critical thinkers and then vote accordingly. Simple as that. That's my goal in this. My goal isn't to make somebody anything. My goal is to get you to open your mind and become a free, critical thinker. And to be honest with you, that is something that is lacking in this country right now. And a lot of it has to do with our public education, because they're not teaching our children to be critical thinkers. They're not teaching our children to debate. They're not teaching our children how to debate, how to have an idea or a belief, and then be able to put the points behind it to back it up. Shout out to True Texan. The old GOP Rhino Party is almost thinned out. I would agree with you on that. Like I said, I think the MAGA movement is something different than the old guard Republican Party. I do think that. I think it's something different. But I want people to be critical thinkers. Even when I discuss this, with my children, who are they're not children, they are young. I guess they'll always be my children, but they're young adults at this point. And we were having this conversation before the election, and, they know where I stand at. And, they were raised up, in a house, with people that are God-fearing people. But at the same time, they are adults. They have the ability to make their own decision. But they knew where I stood. They knew where I stood, and they knew where my wife stood, and we had these conversations. Now, my youngest son, he was a little, he's still learning. He's only 18. This was the first time he voted, so he goes out there and was like, Dad, what should we do? He didn't say, what should we do? He said, what should I do? So I had to sit down. We had to have an explanation. Like, this is who I support and this is why. And this is what the other side is doing and what they have to offer. Now, mind you, this is also a kid that grew up in the school, so he knew exactly what I was talking about when we were talking about public schools, so forth and so on. Shout out to Freedman's Network. He says he can't stand demon rats. I don't think a lot of people can, to be honest with you. And appreciate you, man. Thank you for supporting the channel, man. But we had to have that conversation. And I was glad to have that conversation. Because those are things that I think we need to have with our children. And then our job is to, be wise counsel and give them information and hope that they go out there and make the right decision. You know what I'm saying? The word says you train up a kid, and I'm a butcher the scripture, but it says you train them up, in a way that you need them to be trained up. And, once they get older, they'll never depart from it. And I believe in that. And then again, once they get out there, you just got to pray for them and put your trust in the Lord that they're going to be straight and that they're going to make the right decisions most of the time. And Lord knows, we know that they're going to make mistakes. They're going to mess up. But it's just crazy to me that, the legacy media, a lot of these Democrats out there, these Democrat politicians, that they couldn't stand for a child who won his battle against brain cancer. I just think that it's just crazy. They couldn't clap for two mothers, whose daughters were unalived by illegal immigrants. They couldn't do that. But they stood for Ukraine. And if you guys know anything about Ukraine is actually more in line with the Democrat Party. Ukraine is more in line with the Democrat Party. They are a group of Nazis over there. They are against Christianity. And so, they've canceled elections. They're for censorship. So it makes sense that they would clap and stand for Ukraine because Ukraine is more in line with who the Democrats are. And shout out to you, Mark, man. Appreciate you pulling up this morning for the $2 super sticker. Thank you very much. Appreciate you pulling up as always. Thank you very much, sir. They stood up for Ukraine and more war, man. We got a president that says that he wants peace, and they're anti-peace. After their conduct at the congressional address, they released one of the most silliest videos that I've ever seen. You're talking about, these are some silly people. Seriously. These are some silly people. I don't know how you can continue to vote for people that are this daggone silly. Seriously. I don't know how you can continue to support people that are this silly. These are some unserious people. Hey, and they are getting roasted on social media behind this silly video. Silly video. You wonder why they're getting their tails kicked. Yo, it's like once a week they do something that just oh my goodness, these people are silly. Hey, these are elected officials. These are elected officials out here acting like children. These are elected officials out here acting like children. What's up, T.A. Caskey? How you doing this morning, brother? And you wonder why these people keep losing, man. You wonder why they keep losing. I mean, these people are embarrassing. And ironically, I mean, these women, they won't stand for a little boy, but will continue to support men competing in women's sports. I mean, they want to keep losing in perpetuity. And to be honest with you, man, I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. But how hard is it to get on the right side of at least one 80-20 issue? How hard is it? The Democrat Party is a hollow shell of what it once was. They abandoned the working class. They sold out to radical activists. I mean, they completely sold out to radical activists. And now they can't even take a same position on something as basic as women's sports, on something as basic as, surviving cancer. They can't. And at the same time, based on what I've seen during the last 4 years, maybe they need to lose everywhere forever. Maybe they need to lose so that we can bring back some common sense to America. Because while they may be in free fall, they are also relentless. It's never a good idea to completely count these crazy people out. They do have donors with deep pockets. They have donors with deep pockets, and they will use every vile little trick in the book to regain power. They will. You know it. But for now, I mean, these people are so lost. They're so out of touch that they've actually convinced themselves that they can do the same old foolishness and still regain power. And if they continue on this path, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to happen. If they continue supporting policies that 90+% of Americans do not agree with, they're going to be done. I've never seen a party as lost as the Democrats are today. I've never seen it. Shout out to Freedmen's Network for the $1.99 super chat. He says, Jasmine Crockpot Hood Rat ain't gonna work. I agree with you. There is a brother out there in the Dallas area that's running against her right now. He is a lawyer. He is a former, I believe he was an Army Ranger. I'm 100% he was in the Army, former veteran. He is running against her behind in 26, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, as soon as he officially, announces, I'm going to try to reach out to him and see if we can get him on the show. I'm going to try to reach out to him, see if we can get him on the show. Man, I might invest into his daggone, into his campaign, if he's on it the way he's supposed to. Because it's people like her. She got to go. Same thing with Al Green. I don't know who can run against Al Green down in Houston. The youngin, what's his name? DJ Daniels. He did mention, what's her name? Was it Christy Matthews? I believe. Ron Henderson with the $1.99 super chat. He says, one sidekick and a roundhouse. But yes, there is a brother out of Texas, out in the Dallas area, that is running against, Jasmine Crockett. And he's a brother, black guy. He is a former Army, current lawyer, owns a business, and he's a Republican, and he's running against her. I don't know who can and will run against Al Green down there in Houston, but somebody needs to run against him down there in Houston. I believe her name was it Christy Matthews or Chastity Matthews? I can't remember, but her last name is Matthews, down there in Houston. I don't know if she, has the ability or has what it takes to run against Al Green down there in Houston, but it needs to happen. But we're going to get ready to get out of here. I appreciate you guys pulling up. Like I said, we're not going to go as long today as we did yesterday. But I thought yesterday's show was phenomenal, man. I do ask that you guys go over to Cycle of Judges podcast. That link is in the description box. Go check them out. Go check out that first video that they dropped on Wednesday. I thought it was phenomenal. I do ask that you guys go over there, check them out, and support them. But I want to leave you guys with this, and then we're going to get out of here.
Such an honor to have met you.
Hold up, I got one more thing to say.
He has one more thing to say. I won't interrupt you.
If you're a Democrat and you're being mean to President Trump, I'm on your bumper.
Hey, shout out to DJ Daniels, man. Shout out to DJ Daniels, man. God bless that young man. Him and his family, his father. God bless him, man. I appreciate you guys pulling up today, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. But enjoy the weekend, man. We'll catch up with you guys on Monday, Lord willing. I appreciate everybody that supported the channel today. I appreciate everybody that supported the channel financially today. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. Shout out to all the ARP family members. Appreciate the Blues pulling up. What's going on, B? What's going on? I appreciate you pulling up. T.A. Caskey, Zephyr K9. Thank you very much for pulling up and keeping things civil in the chat. I appreciate you guys. We'll catch up with you guys next week, Monday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Keep God first in your life. Stay prayed up. We'll see you guys. Have a good weekend, man. Peace.
Vibes so raw.